Coming off of the 2021 season for Justin Reid, he just finished his rookie contract with the Houston Texans, and while he had a great start to his career, didn't quite go as well in 2020 and especially in 2021. Like, if you look at his Pro Football Focus grades those seasons, you definitely see a big drop off in the 2021 year. Overall defense, he was, again, started off his career red hot with grades in the mid 70s. 2020, okay, 60. That's kind of an average safety season. That's a bit of a bummer, but you know what? Coverage can be a little bit fluky sometimes. So a little bit of a dip there, not the end of the world. But then in 2021, it was, he graded up poorly, quite frankly. I believe he was a negative WAR player this year. His coverage went from, typically being 70s to high 70s to now a 45.3 grade. So a significantly below average season in general for Justin Reid in a contract year. The worst case scenario, you don't want this to happen, but you see in 2022, it was a return to form. Grade in the 70s in both regular defense and also in coverage, and did some other things well on top of it. The tackling grade wasn't spectacular, but that's fluky year in and year out. I wouldn't read too much into that. Pass rush and run defense were both good, and coverage was back to what we expected. It was an interesting move when the Chiefs went out and signed him. This was the contract they gave him, a player who, again, coming off of a disappointing season, they gave him a contract where his cap number in 2022 was 4.5, and then it's 12.7 in 2023, and 14.25 in 2024. Now, it's not entirely guaranteed. In fact, the salary portion of it is not guaranteed at all in 2024, although you're still getting a bonus of $3.5 million that year. But basically, most of the second year was guaranteed, and then the third year is not. That's the contract that he received, so it was a bit of a risk, but they saw something in him they liked. They bet on his potential, and it worked out. Let's talk about what he was able to do for the Kansas City Chiefs. So first, let's start off with this play. What's going to happen here is this is going to be it's a man coverage play, and he is in man coverage. One of the interesting things about the Chiefs is they have these three safeties who get significant playing time, and when their defense is working the way they want it to, this is typically how they do it, is they have three safeties who can, rotate out. And I think that having Tyrann Mathieu for all those years was such a match made in heaven for how much that they rely on their safeties, and they ask a lot of their safeties. And Mathieu was kind of a guy who can do it all. And while I'm not going to sit here and say that Justin Reid is Tyrann Mathieu, he did some of the things that we expect from Tyrann Mathieu, while Thornhill and Cook could also do some of the things that, could complete the safety position. So on this play, it is man coverage. This is a straight up one-on-one situation trying to cover Hayden Hurst, a good tight end. Watch how when this play begins, and you saw the route on the screen, you see that as of this point, Reid is in position to cover Hurst. He's doing a pretty good job, but we know Hurst is about to cut towards the top of the screen, sort of towards the back of the end zone, and that could be an issue for Reid, who's trying to keep up with him. Watch, you see Hurst then cuts downfield, and Reid is, he's a step behind. Listen, there's no shame in that. You almost expect that to happen when you're trying to cover this route against this kind of competition. It just it is what it is a little bit. However, watch him come back on this and make it so tough and really almost impossible for that to be a completion, even though his back was turned at that point. He had to play the receiver, in that case, the tight end in this case. He couldn't play the ball, but you know what? He didn't have to play the ball. He was still able to clog up enough of the throwing lane that there was not able to be a completion in between it. Also going over here, he does some other things in coverage, like just, damage control, right? I mean, it's almost like a slot corner position a little bit that he's playing. So it's that, safety slot corner thing. Again, it's very much a little bit like what we saw from Tyrann Mathieu of like, we're going to need to use you in several different roles at times. This is what we want you to do on this play, and he can do it. Where you see the zone he's supposed to cover, there's, again, going to be just a check down underneath his gap in coverage. Watch how one Burrow takes the snap and is going to eventually, get ready to flip it there. You see how well Reid is reading this play, ironically enough. Watch him come in very quickly and make a great tackle to just limit the damage right there. That's just a good play, good solid fundamental play by Reid, and that's really what he did well for Kansas City. He kind of was a role player for them. He didn't have to be a star like he did in Houston, and they were able to kind of just use him the way that they wanted to use him. Let him be sort of this guy who could come in unique scenarios, and when he not really unique scenarios, but kind of maybe the opposite, come in and have more simplified scenarios to where he could thrive, I thought. Like something like this is another example of just him finding a way to use his athleticism to make plays. Something like this, Jacksonville trying to, really, in a lot of ways, trying to pick on Reid. They're trying to maybe fake as though something could happen, get Reid potentially out of position. The play itself is going to be a flip to, a receiver who's in motion from the offense's right to the offense's left. Reid is the one who I have circled in white. In the yellow line you see on the screen, that is the first down marker. At 31, it's a second down, but still, you want to force a third down right here if you're Reid. Watch what he's going to do. As you see, he's going to read this play. Again, read it well. He's able to come in, and he's able to make a good tackle to stop them short of the first down yardage. It was the 3rd down and 1. He forced the 3rd down, which was his job on that play. And that's just the main thing I feel like main takeaway I had when watching his tape is that he did his job. That's the famous Bill Belichick quote of, not quote, but almost like slogan of do your job. Everyone on the field has a specific job to do. It's a little bit more difficult when your job in Houston is, go out and hopefully do something. It's easier when you have a coaching staff that kind of can give you a job and make it easier for him, and he was able to do his job very well. And even stuff like this, I thought he blitzed well, which, again, that's not the main part of his game that you talk about, but he is someone who can do it well, and he had some clever blitzes, too. Something like right here, where you see where he is on the field. But watch him so early move in. I mean, he showed that he was blitzing. He did not hide it too much. He chose on this play, hey, it doesn't seem like anyone's going to pick me up. Let me take this extra step and try to force the issue. That's what he does. So he gets to Lawrence so quickly. Lawrence kind of throws off his back foot. That was an interception late in the Chiefs-Jaguars game that really kind of iced the football game. And if he doesn't get that pressure, maybe he's certainly able to make a better throw. Now, maybe it's still intercepted. Maybe it's still incomplete. The Chiefs probably still win. I definitely feel that way. But this was able to kind of ice it. So he came up with a huge play in their Super Bowl winning run. I mean, that alone is worth whatever price tag you get. But he did a lot of stuff, I thought, well. And it's, maybe a good example of sometimes a free agent signing can be the right move if you buy low on a player, because now you get him at a reasonable price tag. If he was a free agent this year, he's getting more, I think, than what he was able to get last year. Getting more than the $10 million a year for 3 years, with one of those years not guaranteed. And for a low risk deal, at this point, you're going to pay him next year, because why would you let him walk? And then you can let him go if you want to for really no harm. So they've definitely gotten their money's worth out of this contract. And I think Reid has definitely, he's going to make more money after it's all said and done, as long as he can play for another year or two at this level. He can get a big contract of his own. He's proven what he can do, which is be a very important piece of this Chiefs defense. And this is what the Chiefs did well, is it has found so many different players who could be successful. Some in the draft, and then some through free agency, and some of them were underrated free agency moves, such as getting Reid, who can really play well for them. At least that's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on Reid's performance, on the contract, on the decision to get him, all of that good stuff? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.